Hi, and welcome to the Passionistas Project podcast, where we talk with women who are following their passions to inspire you to do the same. We're Amy and Nancy Harrington, and today we're talking with Amy Chin, the founder of Calm Better Days. As someone who suffered from anxiety and postpartum depression, she found great relief with CBD and knew she had to help others understand how CBD could help them in a myriad of ways, so she became a CBD educator. Calm Better Days walks clients through what CBD is, what to use it for, different delivery methods, and how to find their dosage. Clients also receive a tailored CBD regimen based on the individual's needs and lifestyle, so they can dive into their CBD journey. So please welcome to the show, Amy Chin.
Hi, Nancy. Hi, Amy. Thank you for having me on today.
We're really excited about CBD and want to learn all about it. Tell us, what's the one thing you're most passionate about?
Well, it's cannabis. I'm most passionate about plant medicine. It is a gift that can heal in so many ways. And I think that, as a society, we need to learn to tap into that. And I think that we are gearing into that category as we are learning that health these days is an integrated health, right? That means eating more plant-based diet, as well as doing your exercise, a meditation, getting adequate sleep. All those play a role into our health.
And so, how does that translate into what you do for a living?
Understanding that everything is integrative, right? I always talk to my clients and remind them that CBD will fast track your health to where you want it to be, but will slow down depending on your other health lifestyle habits. So, for example, let's say two people are battling, hormonal imbalance. And if one is doing everything, having healthy habits in terms of sleep, exercise, diet, and let's say spiritually, they're going to be healthier faster. However, if one is not adapting to those, healthier lifestyle habits, it will take much longer. So that's how it all relates. And I think that we're all learning that as we go now, especially with COVID around.
Well, let's take a little step back. Tell us where you grew up and what your childhood was like.
I grew up in New York City, born and raised right in Chinatown. And being in a Chinese household, we didn't really speak much about mental health. We didn't speak much about feelings and emotions as well in a Chinese household. So for me, growing up now as a mom and being diagnosed with anxiety and postpartum depression was very new to me. I was very thankful it was diagnosed by my marriage therapist because I was not aware of the symptoms because we never spoke about it in my household. And that's why I love talking about it, because now that I realize when it was diagnosed, I can then treat it, I can address it and take care of myself. When I didn't know what it was, at the time, I just thought, oh, this is part of motherhood. This is something that I have to learn to deal with. And I assumed that this was just how it was. So I was very thankful it was diagnosed. And it was my marriage therapist who recommended CBD to me because I was leaning toward a more holistic life after being a mom. And I was not having good reactions from pharmaceutical meds. So I was very thankful that she did recommend something that was more holistic. And this was about 8 years ago. At the time, that was when you actually had to get a medical card to get CBD. And I got my card and started taking CBD, and that's when my life changed. It went from that cranky, irritable, yelling mom that flew off the handle. And I hated who I was. I hated how I was with my children. And once I started taking CBD, I became so much more patient, so much more present and mindful. I was able to enjoy the time when I was interacting with my kids and realize, oh my goodness, life can be like this. It didn't have to be the way it was before. And when I felt that change in myself, it was so eye-opening. I was finally able to respond to the day's, challenges instead of reacting. And once I felt that calm and ease, I was just like, I knew that I had to get the word out there, because I knew that if I, one, didn't also knew I had um, anxiety and postpartum depression, I was sure that other moms out there may be going through the same things and may not be aware of it. And knowing that there's a natural alternative out there with no side effects, it is such a big, great help. And so that's how, I started Calm Better Days, to help people find their calm, better days. I know we go through that a lot, where we're just living in, suffering from something, right? Everyone's suffering from something, whether it's pain, whether it's mental, whether it, different health conditions. And that's the great thing about CBD, is that it can address so many different issues, so many different health issues. You almost wonder, how can it be? How can it be so wonderful that it addresses so many different health issues, from anxiety, epilepsy, Alzheimer's, heart disease, arthritis? It's almost too good to be true, but it really does.
So I think there are misconceptions about what CBD is, and especially as it relates to cannabis and marijuana and people getting high and all that. So can you kind of talk about the myth of CBD and clarify for people that are listening what it is?
Absolutely. So CBD and THC, they are both cannabinoids found in a cannabis plant. And THC is the cannabinoid known to get you euphorically high, and CBD does not get you euphorically high. They are, however, both psychoactive, in the sense that if I have depression, a person who takes CBD, their moods and feelings will be elevated in terms of not feeling depressed, however, not intoxicated. So that's the big difference between CBD and THC. And because you don't get that euphoric high with CBD, a lot of people sometimes don't know when it's working, because with THC, it's working when you get that euphoric high. But with CBD, because you're not getting that euphoric high, people are like, well, what am I supposed to be feeling? And so I describe it as, it's working when you're not feeling the negative symptoms that you're normally experiencing. So that can be that anxiety, right? With anxiety might come that overwhelm, that high level of stress, that tightness in your chest, or pain for some people, right? So when you're not feeling those negative symptoms anymore, that's when CBD is working. It makes you feel normal, not suffering. CBD is a potent bioaccumulator. So what that means is it's going to soak up all the toxins in the soil, which can be heavy metal, fungicide, mold, pesticide, mycotoxins. These are things we do not want to ingest. So always buy organic. And, hemp is such a potent bioaccumulator. They actually planted at Chernobyl to clean up the soil from the radiation. So if you're not buying organic and you're not looking at the certificate of analysis that every quality CBD product comes with, you can be ingesting toxins that will set off another health condition.
Is that what inspired you to found Calm Better Days? And what was the process of starting it? And what's your mission?
I started Calm Better Days at the end of 2019, right before the pandemic started. So what happened was, in 2018, the Farm Bill was passed. So CBD was federally legal, and you did not need a medical card anymore to buy CBD. So that's when we saw that the market was getting saturated. We saw CBD products everywhere. And I saw two issues for new consumers. And that was, one, because CBD was so new, not everyone understood how to properly use CBD to really access the benefits from the plant. And then two, because it's such a saturated market now, finding a safe and quality product was another unknown for new consumers. And so that's when I wanted to address both issues. So what I do is, people can sign up for a virtual consultation. So it can be done anywhere, any state. And I walk people through the basics, because if you don't understand the basics, you're not going to really be able to access and understand the plant fully. So when I say the basics, I mean, what is CBD? How does it work in your body that it can address so many different symptoms? And then walking the person through the different delivery methods between tinctures, edibles, vaporizers. What are their different activation times and how long they last for in your body? Understanding that makes it easier for you to develop a routine that works for you. And then also understanding your dosage. Everybody's dosage is very unique. And we're used to going to a doctor's office, let's say, and your doctor says, let's say you're starting an SSRI, we'll start you on a certain milligram. And the doctor will say, well, come back in a month and let's see how that works. And we'll adjust the dosage if necessary. And with plant medicine, it's no different, except that you're able to, if you're able to track and learn to read what your body is telling you, your body will tell you how much CBD you need. And I teach people that tracking system so that they can find out what works best for themselves. And lastly, after the education portion, I take a look at your specific health condition to recommend the best products for you. Everybody suffers from different things. And, we're learning that CBD is just scratching the surface. There are other cannabinoids and other terpenes that play a role in each product and the effect. So if you're telling me your issue is, say, Crohn's disease or a gut issue, then there is a cannabinoid, CBG, that is great for that. That'll help clean up the gut, promote good gut flora, and also help with digestive issues. But let's say your issue is sleep. Then there is another cannabinoid, CBN, that is great for that. So this cuts down on time and money for the consumer because now they don't have to waste money on thinking, well, I think this product might work for me. And then also, they're finding relief faster because now that they have the products in hand that are right for them, now they know how to use it as well. So that's how Calm Better Days was born and the mission behind it. I also carry about 15 to 20 different brands, and I support and focus on small farmed, women-owned, and BIPOC-owned brands. One, I believe that small farm, that's where the quality is. I don't believe in, huge commercial grows. The standards are very different, as well as, I like to look into the company's mission. I want to make sure that they're really about helping people and growing quality product. And that's why I believe that, especially people new to this industry, right? They may not be aware of the history behind it and what goes on. So I want to steer them toward good quality companies that are, really focused on the quality of the product and really helping people.
So, how do you go from being diagnosed that this is a treatment that will work for you as an individual to gaining all this knowledge that you now have where you can help other people? Like, what kind of studying and practices did you do to get to this place?
Before I started CBD, I was a cannabis enthusiast. And once I discovered the CBD side, I was just blown away. I was like, is there anything this plant cannot do? And it was when I felt the results with CBD that I started diving into it myself, doing all the research possible. And once I knew what I wanted to do and start my company, I then became cannabis licensed with Dr. Mary Clifton. She is a board certified internal doctor who specializes in cannabis. And the studies don't stop because every day we're now finding new studies, right? Because now we can study the plant. Before we were not able to study the plant because it was, it's still a Schedule I drug. And that's why there are no studies beforehand. But like I was saying, now studies are coming out, so it doesn't stop. And every day there are new industry trends that I need to keep up of. But I love, finding out all this information. So I take what I've, have been consuming myself for years, as well as the studies that are now available, and apply that to people who are looking for new alternatives to health.
Tell us a little bit about the pop-ups that you do.
So I do a lot of pop-ups. I don't have a brick and mortar store. So I do a lot of pop-ups, especially at women networking events because, I am a mom and I know that moms, we take on so much that our anxiety and stress is I think a lot of moms suffer. So I'm hoping one day I will have a brick and mortar so that I can do more explaining and education in the store. I find that right now, although people are in need of it, I think because we're all so busy right now with COVID and everything is, online, we're just too busy to sometimes even have that consultation or even too busy to go online to order things. So pop-ups are helpful to be right in front of them.
We're Amy and Nancy Harrington, and you're listening to the Passionistas Project podcast and our interview with Amy Chin. To learn more about her CBD-related personal events, group and individual consultations, and pop-ups, visit calmbetterdays.co. If you're enjoying this interview and would like to help us to continue creating inspiring content, please consider becoming a patron by visiting thepassionistasproject.com/podcast and clicking on the patron button. Even $1 a month can help us continue our mission of inspiring women to follow their passions. Now here's more of our interview with Amy.
You talked a little bit about the different forms that people can take CBD in. Can you kind of talk a little bit more in detail about that?
So back then, not the only, but the most common way was through inhalation, smoking a joint or a blunt. Nowadays, we have vaporizers. And I love vaporizers because one, you're not burning carcinogens like before with the joint. You had the paper, the flower is all burning, and that's consuming carcinogens, which I want to save my throat. So I don't consume flower anymore in that form, but I do use vaporizers. There's no scent to it. There is no carcinogens in my throat, so it saves my throat. But also I love it because it provides the quickest onset. So you feel it within 5 to 10 minutes. And this is great for, let's say, a person suffering from panic attacks or anxiety attacks, and they need that quick relief. Or maybe they have severe, intense back pain that they need quick relief from. So vaporizer will get to that quickest. But I also understand that, for some people, they just don't want to inhale anything. And that's where, the industry has been so innovative in the different formats that CBD comes in. So there are edibles, and edibles are gummies, honey, chocolate, anything that needs to go through your stomach and liver to metabolize. But because it has to go through your stomach, it will take much longer to kick in. So it takes about 30 to 90 minutes. But people love it because it's portable, it's easy to consume. If it's a gummy, you can put it in your bag, just pop one when you need it. And it does last much longer than a vaporizer. It can last from 4 to 6 hours, even 8 hours for some people. So when we think about different delivery methods, we want to think about what's going to make it easy for us to consume on a daily basis. Because when you make it easy, it's part of your routine. But if you're doing something that you don't like and it's difficult, then it doesn't become part of your routine. So other formats are tinctures. Tinctures are CBD suspended in MCT oil, and it comes in a bottle with a dropper. And normally you want to drop it underneath your tongue. Hold it there for 60 seconds before you swallow. And that allows it to be absorbed into your bloodstream and will take about 20 to 40 minutes to activate and will last about 4 hours. And when I talk about delivery methods, there is a time and place for everything. So what I mean by that is we want to think about our situation, what we need to address, and then also about the place where we're at, right? Because we want it to be easy and convenient. Once I wake up, that's when my anxiety and depression is at its worst, right? It's hard to be motivated. I'm, don't want to get out of bed, and it's hard for me to be focused and productive. So I know right away in the morning, I either use my vaporizer or my tincture because I want to set the tone for my day. And I want it to be quick to get out of that slump and kind of like jumpstart my day. So I either do one of those two things. And then after that, because I know it lasts for about 4 hours and I work at home, thankfully. So that's when I take an edible. I pop a gummy right before my lunch because I know I have a long afternoon ahead and I don't want to have to think about redosing And I take it right before my lunch because I want it to go down with the good fat from my diet, because then your body will absorb more of the CBD and also quicker versus taking it on an empty stomach where your stomach acids might get to it first, or after a full meal where your liver just has to metabolize more. And then after the gummy wears off, it's probably around dinner time, after dinner. And it depends on what I need to do. If I need to do more work, then I'll dose accordingly. But let's say, I put in a hard day's work. I really want to relax. I don't want to think about work. Then I can also do something relaxing, like a tea, to kind of like set the mood for my night, set myself up for good sleep and have a really relaxing night. And that's a great thing about it, is that now with so many different products, it feels like a self treat. I can do an afternoon little chocolate piece, or have my tea, right? Or maybe it's honey drizzled on top of fruit as my dessert after dinner. So there are different ways of consuming it. And not only that, but after my shower, my muscles, usually there's like soreness or stress from my neck down. And I love, after a shower, putting on a good CBD lotion just to melt all that tension, all that stress away. And that also eases me into my, good night's rest.
I think everybody associates weed with patchouli. Like these creams and the tinctures and everything, do they smell like cannabis, or do they come now in like lavender?
They do. They come in so many different formats, so many different scents, and I love it. I have this one by Common Ground, and it's bergamot, and I love bergamot. And it goes on so smooth, so luxurious, so satiny too, that I'm loving the creams that they come up with now, because it doesn't smell like cannabis and it goes on so nice. It feels like any other luxurious cream. You wouldn't even know that it's, specifically CBD. Not only does it smell great, but it really helps ease that tension, melt away any stress or pain that you may have. It's great because it's anti-inflammatory, which can be acne, rosacea, the redness, right? That's all inflammation. So that takes care of that. It also regulates your sebum control. So back then, when I was hormonally imbalanced, I had horrible cystic acne. My face would get shiny in an hour because I was overproducing oil. So the CBD oil helps balance out your sebum. So instead of overproducing oil, it was balancing that out. So now my face doesn't get shiny in an hour. And also, my cystic acne, it would hurt less because the CBD oil was taking care of the pain as well as the inflammation. So CBD facial oil is also anti-aging and antioxidant. So it is great for the face, and I use it every day and night. It's cleaned up my skin regimen. Like before, I used to apply so much acne medication, so many different retinols, this, that. Now it's just double cleanse and the facial moisturizer, CBD facial moisturizer, and nothing else. It will take out the puffiness. I have an eye serum. And also for dark spots, because it quickens the cellular turnover, so the dark spots will fade quicker as well. So it's cut down my steps and products. I love it. I recommend it for everyone.
What if someone is on traditional medication? Are there interactions that they should speak with a doctor about before starting a regimen?
Always speak with your doctor, especially when you are on pharmaceutical drugs. And on my website, I have a partnership with Leaf 411, which is a nonprofit organization of cannabis nurses. So what that means is you can call them and say, you were referred from Calm Better Days, and that makes the call free. You do have to pay for the service, but because I have the partnership, it is free. And what you can do is say, I am on medication XYZ. Will CBD interact with it? For the most part, CBD does not interact with most drugs. The only concern is if you are on blood thinners or blood pressure medication. Anything that interacts with grapefruit and you cannot take, CBD works like that grapefruit. It's enzyme inhibitor. So that you would have to watch out for.
You talked a little bit about how your personal life has changed from making this discovery, but tell us a little bit more about kind of the transformation you personally have made since you started using CBD in this way.
Well, let's see. I've been on it for about CBD specifically for over 8 years now. Cannabis in general, probably over a decade. So I have now become a more mindful person, definitely more aware about my health. And this was also after becoming a mom, more holistic, more plant based, because when I was at my darkest point with anxiety and postpartum depression, that's when my health was out of balance. I was hormonally imbalanced. I wasn't eating right at that time. So during the time when I was consuming CBD was also when I was making healthier lifestyle changes in terms of my diet, more plant-based. And as a mom, I know I'm supposed to exercise more and also get adequate sleep. However, it's very hard to fit those two things in as a busy mom, also running her own company. And I know that, right? And that is why I make sure to take my CBD every day. So at least then my body won't crack from not doing the things that I know I'm supposed to do. If I can, I do try to, of course, do it. But in terms of lifestyle, that's how it's changed. I'm more aware of what I do need to do as well as my mental state. I would say before CBD, I felt like my life felt like, how when you're that hamster on the hamster wheel and it's constantly going and you just feel that you have to. And then once I took CBD, it kind of took me out of that hamster wheel and I could see, oh my gosh, I'm that hamster. And it didn't have to be like that. It allowed me to have calmness and mindfulness so I can see and be aware of what was going on in my life. And the funny thing is, they always suggest therapy and all that. And I have been going to years of that and try to practice meditation and yoga, but my mind would not be still. And I just could not tap into it no matter how hard I tried. But with the CBD, I was able to finally tap into that and calm my mind and be aware of everything that was going on. So that now, if I take CBD before a yoga session or a meditation, it just enhances that session because now I can really focus in and tap into that. Whereas before, I just could not calm my mind to focus in on that.
Do you find that people are like who don't get it, who don't understand it personally, like are judgmental about the concept of CBD and like how do you address people who come at you in that way?
Absolutely. I get a lot of people who don't understand it. And that's why I love to talk about it. And I get that they don't understand it. And sometimes it comes with, of course you don't get it because you don't have the basic fundamentals. And that's why I'm here to help you understand that. Because I feel that once you understand that, then everything starts clicking. And then after that is you have to experiment and try it. And, we've been so conditioned as a society to think that, okay, a doctor is here, they prescribe medicine, and then you just take it blindly, right? And with plant medicine, it's a different approach in that you can do it yourself, but you have to be patient, you have to be open to it, and you have to be open to tracking it so that you can tell yourself, well, how much does my body need? But we haven't listened to our bodies in so long that it seems like a new practice. And we have to remember that herbs, cannabis, that was the original medicine of days long ago before pharmaceutical medicine was made in a lab. So we have to understand that that's what we started with and it's going back to that. And I understand sometimes even with the education it may still be hard to understand. But once that person tries it and they feel it, then that is like, I'm hooked now. Now I want to understand more and dive into it more. And sometimes it's all about finding the right dosage to get you there, or finding the right product, because everyone is going to respond differently to a vaporizer versus a tincture versus an edible. For some people, edibles, for whatever reason, doesn't work for them, for their body, their genetic makeup. So sometimes that's when a vaporizer can really help. And I love vaporizers because I find that because of the quick onset, that people really feel it. Whereas sometimes when they're waiting for an edible to kick in, they forget that they're waiting, and then the day goes by, and then they're not mindful of, oh, my day actually went by smoother. I wasn't blowing up at everything, right? But sometimes people don't notice that because we're not mindful. We're not reading what our body is telling us. And usually we only hear what our body is telling us when it's screaming, right? And that's when it's like suffering from a pain or suffering from something that is happening in our body.
From all the people that you've worked with, is there like one specific example that you can think of as like a success story that you're especially kind of blown away by?
Well, right now, a lot of clients are coming to me for sleep issues and stress issues, and actually gut issues. Well, gut and mind is all related. So that's why stress and gut health are like hand in hand. And that's why a lot of people are coming for that. But sleep. So I've seen a lot of people come back and say, you know what, I've been getting good sleep and stress has been lowered. I've had a lot of clients who were on pharmaceutical meds for anxiety, stress, depression, and have weaned off of it. When I hear that they've weaned off of pharmaceutical meds and still feeling great, I am so happy because I know that they're feeling better because they're no longer, feeling the side effects from the pharmaceutical drugs, which was the main reason why a lot of them wanted to get off of that. So when I hear that, I just know that, that makes me feel wonderful that I'm actually helping people feel better.
Thanks for listening to our interview with Amy Chen. To learn more about her CBD-related personal events, group and individual consultations, and pop-ups, visit calmbetterdays.co. Please visit thepassionistasproject.com to learn more about our podcast and subscription box filled with products made by women-owned businesses and female artisans to inspire you to follow your passions. This quarter's box is a collaboration with the Mob Nation and features products from mom-owned businesses. Get a free mystery box with a 1-year subscription using the code SPRINGGOODIES. And be sure to subscribe to the Passionistas Project podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming inspiring guests. Until next time, stay well and stay passionate.